Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is the host of the most, Godzilla, and on today's battle analysis I'm going to be doing a battle request from Mike_69. So shout out to him and make sure to go subscribe to him and give him some support. Another thing I do want to mention are two things. So first off, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support on these videos. The last one actually did pretty well just in a couple days. So yeah, also another thing I do want to mention too is that I've slightly changed the categories. For example, I put IQ and Battle IQ together, so yeah. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. In today's battle, we're going to be pinning two of the most brutal and powerful kaijus. Our first opponent is the most brutal and evil kaiju, sealed away by the ancient giants but was soon released, bringing mass destruction and nearly ending the planet. Zaigorg, the Inferno Demon Monster. Up next is our second contender, a giant space monster that is described devouring every star in its path and traverses planets and galaxies. Maga, orochi, the space monster. Now as usual, I will be going over the categories to determine who the winner will be. And I'll be using specifically the movie version of Zaigorg and the Maga orochi's juvenile form. So without further ado, let's begin. The first category we'll be going over as always is height and weight. Starting off with Zaigorg, coming in at around 66 meters tall or 216.54 feet tall exactly, and is a whole 70,000 tons. Meanwhile, Maga orochi in his juvenile form is 70 meters or 229.67 feet tall and is a whopping 80,000 tons. Honestly, these are the first two big kaijus that I've analyzed so far from the previous fights that I've covered. But the winner for height and weight goes to Maga orochi. Next is strength, starting with Maga orochi. Now he has shown some good feat of strength, especially when he was fighting Ultraman Orb in episode 11, Trouble Mama's Here. Interesting title. Anyways, in this fight, after tanking Orb's Sparin Beam, he grabs him by the throat and just throws him like he's nothing. Then afterwards, he constricts him with his tail and also electrocutes him. Now, surprisingly enough, Ultraman Orb weighs at a shocking 50,000 tons. Afterwards, Orb tried to use his trident, but Maga orochi just tossed his weapon aside and just kicked him. Man, Maga orochi just woke up and chose violence one day. But next up, let's take a look at Zaigorg. Now, similar in strength, Zaigorg one-punched Ultraman X, causing him to fly into a mountain. Now, Ultraman X, as I previously covered a couple times, he's about 45,000 tons. Now, they're both pretty identical in strength, but honestly, I'm going to have to give the win to Maga orochi, as he has some impressive strength and literally threw Orb by the throat with one hand. Now remember guys, this is just his juvenile form. So far, Maga orochi has won two categories, but let's not assume anything yet, as we'll move on to the next category. Coming up next, we have speed. This time let's start with Zaigorg. Now Zaigorg has shown some good feats of speed in the movie. When Zaigorg was traveling underground, his speed was estimated to be 120 kilometers an hour. And doing some math, we get 193.121 kilometers an hour. Another example is when he launched his spikes with the Megas to major cities across the planet in just 30 kilometers a second. Again, doing some math, we get 67.1080 kilometers a second. Now that's really fast, to be honest with you. Now for Maga orochi on land, he's not the fastest but can charge at enemies. However, there is one statement that he can traverse planets and galaxies. But unfortunately, there's not a lot we can work with for his speed. So yeah, finally Zaigorg wins at speed. Next up is intelligence and battle intelligence. Again, going with Zaigorg, Zaigorg has shown both battle intelligence and general intelligence. There's just so many examples. First one was when he tail whipped Ultraman X before he could land his final blow with his exceeded slash, and then uses bloody flooding to defeat Ultraman X, causing him to separate with Daiichi. Another example is when he was trapped in an electric field by Cyber Gamora and the other cyber monsters. He used his spikes to destroy Cyber Gamora, as well as summon clones of previous monsters like Antlar and Galza to command for his aid. The last one was when he tricked X into thinking that he defeated him with his Excendium beam, but uses tendrils to absorb energy from the ultras. So yeah, he's shown a lot of intelligence and battle intelligence. What about Maga Orochi? Now given that he's in his juvenile form, he has shown some intelligence and battle intelligence, dodging Hurricane Slash and even throwing his trident, as well as grabbing Orb's trident before finishing the attack and pull him towards his spikes. So the winner for intelligence and for battle intelligence goes to Zaigorg, as he shows a lot more. Following up next, we have agility. Let's take a look at Maga Orochi this time. Despite his large and bulky size, he has shown to charge at his enemies, and even dodging and running as well. So he pretty much just keeps up in combat with his opponents. For Zaigorg, he's kind of similar, as he's pretty agile despite large size. However, he's a bit slow, but either way, still agile. And honestly, I would say that Maga Orochi takes the win for agility, because he can actually run. Next is durability, and here's where things get insane, starting with, again, Maga Orochi. Now his durability is pretty impressive, as he tanked Orb's Sparring Beam while charging at him. This is the same beam that can one-shot a kaiju. Now taking a look at Zaigorg, his durability is even more insane, as he was tanking the assault from Cyber Gamora and Cyber King Joe and Ella King.
Another example is when he took a blast from X's Extendium Beam.
Honestly, I would give the win for durability to Zaigorg, as he has tanked a lot of assault from Defense Force
and X himself.
Finally, we're at our last two categories, abilities and physical weapons. But first is abilities. Believe me when I say that these guys have more abilities than the previous battles I've covered. Anyways, let's start off with Maga Orochi. Now he has a lot of abilities, such as Mega Thunderclap, a powerful lightning ray, body lightning while constricting, self-healing, sharp spikes, strength, and durability. Now this may not seem like a lot, however it's nothing compared to Zaigorg, as he has a ton of abilities, like Spike Tail, Blood Flooding Beam, Burrowing, Inferno Demon Cloning, Chest Mouth, Hell's Relief, and Powered Up Hell's Relief, Chest Tendrils, Spine Projectiles, Gorg Reaches, and finally, Red Lightning Empowerment. Honestly, the winner for abilities is Zaigorg, as he just has a lot to work with against Maga Orochi. Then we have physical weapons. Let's take a look at Maga Orochi. Now Maga Orochi has some short but big arms, and he's almost covered entirely of spikes, and of course he has sharp teeth, claws, big bulky legs, and a big tail covered in spikes also. Finally, next is Zaigorg. He has a lot, such as his Gorg Rages and lots of spikes protruding from his back. And he has a whip-like tail with the end having spikes. He also has big bulky legs and sharp teeth. And yeah, honestly, I would give the win for Zaigorg, as he wins for physical weapons. And so, here we are, with the final score of 5-3. The winner of this brutal battle goes to Zaigorg. Honestly, Zaigorg has an advantage over Maga Orochi, but while yes, Maga Orochi would give Zaigorg a bit of a hard time, as he's very strong as well as agile. However, Zaigorg would just use his abilities to take the advantage over Maga Orochi. Heck, even if he wanted to, he can even make a clone of Maga Orochi to fight himself. But realistically, I don't think he would do that. Rather, he would just kind of toy with Maga Orochi despite being a juvenile. But the winner of this fight is Zaigorg. Man, these two are the most brutal kaiju I've covered so far in this video. But let me know what you guys think. Anyways, this is the host of the most, signing off.